So let's talk about that journey then.
Yep.
That journey from got an idea, want to start that ice cream business, that chili and basil ice cream business, whatever.
Exit for tens of millions.
Exit for tens of millions. I get off the ground. People love my chili and basil ice cream. What is the journey that an entrepreneur goes on from zero up until they exit?
So there's a key stages. The first 4 stages where everyone gets caught is called chaos, concept, audience, offer, sales. So you have to develop your concept. So it's a good concept. You've validated it. You've conducted some experiments. You're aligned to it. Other people are excited about it. Audience is that you engage an audience. Waiting lists, dinner parties, scorecards, quizzes, discussion groups, all of those are great audience builders.
Yep.
Offer is that you construct a packaged up offering so that people can buy something and that audience can now act on something and buy. And then sales, which is the ability to talk and discuss with your interested parties to close deals, to actually get sales across the line and to do that predictably and reliably. So for sales, we establish something called a rhythm of laps, leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. And we measure our pipeline every week. How many leads, how many appointments, how many presentations, how many sales. So those are the first 4 things: concept, audience, offer, sales. And that should get you into the 6 figures of revenue just by doing that. The next thing is about team building. You've got to establish a key person of influence who's got a personal brand, who's the leader of the company, who's going to embody the brand, and you've got to build a team of 8 people around them. A general manager, marketing and sales, finance admin, IT, media, and operations, those kind of roles. And essentially, you now build this core team of 8, and the key person of influence job is to engage bigger and bigger audiences. And so they get out there and tell the story of the business, they get on stages, they pitch, they publish content, they raise their profile, they do joint ventures and partnerships. So they're leading from the front while the general manager or ops director is making sure things don't fall apart behind. Once you hit about 8 people, you now have to digitize absolutely everything of value in that business. So now you go through the whole process of digitization of the value. So you're getting ready to scale.
Which means, for example, moving physical relationships to a CRM, some kind of database, or
building a CRM, formalizing your intellectual property, building a brand, a company brand, formalizing your organizational culture, getting into really good investor relationship and documentation, governance. So all of these are developing systems, developing assets of the business, having online marketing and sales systems, having an online way of generating a lot of leads reliably, having an online way of making customers mostly happy most of the time. So you're basically trying to build as many assets as possible. What you're trying to do at about 8 to 10 people is raise revenue per person. So let's say you've got 10 people with 100,000 per person. So you've got $1 million of revenue, 10 people times 100,000, $1 million of revenue. If you can add assets and get it to go to 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 million, now you've got 130,000 per person. So what you're trying to do is add as many digital assets as possible to get the revenue per employee or the revenue per person up. Once you see that the revenue per person is going up, now you can add people, because the more digital assets there are times by the number of people, now you're going to be successful. Now, the really hard jump is from 12 to 30. From 12 people to 30, you're too big to be small, too small to be big. Very difficult time in any business's life. And what you have to do is go through a transformation of a small team of rebels and misfits to a professional team that's manufacturing value. A lot of people have to go. Unfortunately, some of the earlier people who were there because they could breathe and had a pulse and all of that sort of stuff, they unfortunately have to go find a new startup. And you now have to go and bring on team members who come through recruiters with a proper process and who they go through an entire process of how they join the team. They're onboarded correctly. And now you transform into a more valuable professional organization. Once you hit 30, you've got a 5-person executive team plus a non-executive director and an advisor. And then you've got some teams of teams. And now you're doing 10 million of revenue, 3 million of profit, and now you're exitable.
Have you got to make a decision early?
That was a mouthful, sorry.
But it's so true. It's so funny.
Did you agree with that?
All of it. I agreed with all of it. The interesting thing as well is the part you said about, of the first 10 people you hire, very few of them are equipped already or able to adjust to the environment you have at 30, 40, 50, 60, 100.
Totally.
And part of what I've noticed is that when there's 10 people, you're acquiring a different set of skills, and you're thinking more about multidisciplinary individuals that can kind of wear a few hats but not do anything exceptionally well.
Swiss Army knives.
Yeah.
They can do 25 things badly.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you get to like 50, 60, 70 people, it's really
Specialists.
Bread knife.
Just cuts bread really well. Just that.
So on this then, when we're thinking about our own careers, we've got to ask ourselves that question, which is, are we a specialist that should be going into a company where there's 50, 60, 70 people? Or are we that kind of Swiss Army knife that should be playing in startups and then going from 0 to 1 versus like 1 to 2?
Yeah, I've had to wrestle with that myself. I personally absolutely adore the first 2 million of revenue. That is where my fun, that for me is fun. It's where I find it exciting. I become almost pathologically distracted once we hit 2 million of revenue. And I have to remind myself, oh, wait a second, we've got a fast growth business here. Stop thinking about other things. I really enjoy getting businesses past that first couple of $100,000 a month. And then for whatever reason, I'm like dreaming of a blank page. I just want something like, oh, what if we did this? What if we did that? But here's the cool thing. There are so many amazing people who are phenomenal at the 2 to 20 million jump. So at the moment, the person who's leading Dent Global is Glenn Carlson. Glenn I've known him since I was 14 years old. And actually what he's phenomenal at the moment, we've discovered, is that he's really, really good at driving that next jump, the 2 to 20 million jump. So there's the 0 to 200 grand like testing. There's the 200 grand to 2 million, which is like, yeah, okay, this thing's got some legs. There's the 2 million to 20 million jump, which is we're professionalizing, we're becoming a proper business, we're becoming valuable, we're getting all the right people. What's shocked me, because I've known Glenn for so many years, is that we've just recently discovered that that's what he's suited to. He's really good at the 2 to 20 million jump. He's so good at recruiting talented people. He's so good at pushing them through a process that weeds out like 15 amazing people down to 2 amazing people down to 1.
How would you make the case to someone that's just heard what you've said about your companies and that you like that 0 to 2 million phase? What case would you make to me to admit what I'm not good at for the sake of my business? Because everyone can relate. Like, I don't mean to share this without asking him, but I'm sure he's in control of the edit, so he can take it out if he doesn't like it. But did you think I was going to do it? Jack turned around to our team the other day, and I've actually spoken to so many people about this moment since he said it. Jack said, you know what? Jack's run this podcast from 0, so 0 subscribers to where it is now, it's 5 million subscribers. Jack turned around at 5 million subscribers and was like, I'm not the best in the world at doing lighting. So what I've done is I've gone out and I found someone who's the best at lighting, and they're going to teach me, they're going to redesign my set. 5 million subscribers, he's getting someone else to redesign a set so that the lighting is amazing. It takes a certain kind of person to put winning over ego.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think about this so many, Jack probably didn't know the profoundness of that moment to me, but someone who is applauded from everyone, oh, you've built the best podcast, whatever, for him to go, do you know what, there's so much I don't know.
He role modeled humility, and he role modeled the idea of winning is better than being right.
Yeah.
And overlings, not underlings. That a great company is great because you bring in overlings, not underlings. So an underling is someone who's not as good as you are, and an overling is someone who's way better than you are. So it's that confidence to bring in the overlings. All of my businesses have been great because overlings run them. Everyone who is in my organization is way better than me at the thing they're doing. And I feel like the conductor in the orchestra can't play all the instruments and probably maybe is okay at one instrument, but actually their ability to bring in the best in the world at that instrument is what makes them a great conductor, the ability to enroll people. So the first thing I'd say is that there's value to be made at every level. If you're watching this and you're not a founder, and you're sitting there going, all the people who make the money are the people who start from scratch and get something off the ground, and look at Daniel and look at Stephen. Those guys are the 0 to 1 guys. Wouldn't it be great if I was one of those? But I'm not. Well, actually, that's not true. The truth is that there's incredible wealth to be created if you can take something from 2 to 20 million. There's amazing wealth if you can take something from 20 to 200 million. Do you know, this is worth mentioning, one of the biggest opportunities in the world right now, there's 2 major opportunities in the world, but one of the biggest opportunities in the world at the moment is baby boomers who want to retire. And a typical scenario is you get someone who's late 60s, early 70s. The business had a high watermark of a couple of million, and now it's dropped down to maybe $1 million or high 6 figures. because the person's semi-retiring, and because the business has been on decline, it's almost unsaleable. The person wants to retire and they just want to hand over the keys and they just want that business to go to someone who's fresh. And what they're willing to do is to do a vendor sale exit. Cody Sanchez, who you had, she talks about this. I've done deals like this. And actually Jeremy with the 100-foot yacht, that's how he does it. So you buy a business that the person wants to retire and you take over that business with fresh energy and you bring it back to its high watermark. So there are so many people who what they would be suited for is not starting with a blank sheet of paper like me, but they would actually go and find, Bill and Sarah who want to retire and they want to do a deal where they get paid out over 5 years to hand over the keys to the business.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.